The precipice moment. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast of the Ordinary Maverick. This is Ajay, your host, an ordinary maverick, sharing real life thoughts and experiences and maverick tips. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do so, and you will not miss another episode. A precipice is defined as a very steep rock face or cliff, especially a tall one. Falling off a precipice is life threatening, as we know, and it's dangerous to even go close to one. When we say we are at the precipice, it means you're in a dangerous situation, very close to disaster or failure akin to taking some wrong step forward and falling over. We've all at some point in our lives stood at the edge of a cliff, or at least on top of really tall buildings and looked down, or attempted to look down. It's both scary and exhilarating at the same time in a funny way, right? And that moment, that feeling, it's unforgettable. Although, if one is scared of heights, then this is not easy to do. But just for one moment, remember a time when you looked down from a height or just felt that you're standing on the edge, and think of that moment. The moment I call as a precipice moment. We have several moments in our life that remind us of standing on a precipice, looking down, and when just that one step forward plunges you downwards, it's that moment that I term as the precipice. Now, I'm not wanting you to jump down, so fear not. But just remember that moment. It stays with you throughout your life, crystal clear. We've had some precipice moments in our lives through the years, as perhaps you all have had too. All mavericks have had them. Let me share some of them. One of these was several years back. Our daughter was just 4 years old. Living in Jamaica at the time, our girls were attending a birthday party. Those days, the bouncy bounce jumper was a big hit. Those large bouncies that get inflated and kids love jumping up and down on them. Well, it was like any other evening celebrating a birthday party of a little child. Our girls were excited as all kids are for a party. Reflecting back, I think it was a case of lack of supervision as well as the understanding of the risks and no warning signs that had several kids on the bouncy at the same time. And more importantly, kids of different ages. One of the bigger kids was jumping next to my daughter, and my daughter came down and landed with her hand flat down. The bigger kid next to her also came down, but right on my daughter's hand. And that moment is etched forever in our minds. We literally heard the bone breaking and my daughter scream in pain. We knew immediately that she had broken an arm. Just didn't know the extent of the damage. And my daughter, after that one scream, started playing with the other kids once again. She was just holding her arm in an odd way and obviously making sure that it didn't bear any weight and kept it close. Kids are so resilient, We did realize over the years that her pain threshold was quite high. She's a brave one. Well, it turned out that she had indeed broken her arm, both the bones in a clean cut. Being little, there was an option to set it without surgery and general anesthesia, but only if she could bear a little pain and keep still. We spoke to her, and little though she was brave and was given local anesthesia. She held still, sitting in my wife's lap, and the doc, who was related to us, someone we stumbled on by chance, and that's another story, set the bones in place with one click. Excellently done. And after that, she had a cast for several weeks, and yes, made the most of all the pampering. She was spoilt at home, at school, all kids wrote on the cast, and she was a happy girl. After a few weeks, when the cast came off and an x-ray was taken, all was well. The bones had healed perfectly. Today, after so many years, she's absolutely fine. But for us, that moment remains as one of our precipice ones as a family. While standing on a precipice is perceived as dangerous, I feel that precipice moments in our lives can hold some good memories too, right? Earth-shattering moments like the time you say yes to your partner for life, It can be a make or break moment, right? Either you're made for life or then life makes you. That's on a lighter note. Speaking of other such moments, I was reflecting on some more, like pressing send when you resign from a job, or in that same vein, pressing send on accepting one. Both change your life, right? Another such moment is when you become a parent. Nothing can take away that moment when your child is put in your arms and you lock eyes for the first time with this life that is forever linked with yours. But coming back to the ones that are the tough ones, we had another one of those while living in South Africa some years back. Mention of South Africa, and one thinks of beauty and nature. It's truly one of the most stunning, beautiful places we have ever lived in. But, and there's always a but, crime is a challenge. We were given several security briefings and went through all kinds of measures at home and outside. And believe me, we were fine. But like they say, something has to happen at some point, right? But then the pre-prep warning signals helped in the response. It was a night to remember. My wife and girls, along with my mother-in-law, were returning after watching a movie. And at the first traffic light, that hit happened. My wife recalls that a car came and stopped behind us. My wife was driving and our elder daughter was sitting in front with our younger one and my mother-in-law at the back. A guy got out of the car and walked up to our car on the passenger side and bam! Hit the window of the car on the side where my daughter was sitting. 3 hits and the glass broke. The guy tried to put his hand in and was obviously looking to take the mobile phone or a purse, basically anything that he could grab in his hand. He caught hold of my daughter's scarf and was pulling it. In the meantime, there was something else at play. My wife for a minute was frozen in shock, unsure of what's happening. But as my daughter leaned on her in fright and in trying to get away from the broken window, well, survival instincts set in. She hit the pedal. She later said that all she could think was of, how to save her daughters and get out of the situation. Zoomed out of there in a flash, even though the signal was red. Luckily, there was no car in front and the road was clear, and she drove off. The guy was forced to pull his hand out of the broken window in a hurry. The advice of the briefings kicked in. She drove with speed and didn't take the regular route home, making sure that no one was following them. She only stopped once safely home. They were all shaking and sat in the car for a few minutes with the broken window before getting out and calling the police. Till today, that first hit, the smash and grab moment, the precipice moment remains a strong memory. Fellow Mavericks, all precipice moments remain in our memory bank for life. But when one looks a bit deeply, there are some learnings too. Just like when one makes their way to an actual precipice on a cliff, there are signs, warning signs that show that the precipice is close. There are signs in our lives too that lead up to our precipice moments. Think about it. For every such moment, there are signposts that brought us there. And it's that combination of noting the signposts, reaching the precipice, and then you take a decision. Take the plunge forward or retract your steps and go back down the way you came. The experiences I shared had their own learnings and made us aware and take care for the future. But there have been instances where we can see that we are reaching what could be a precipice moment and we retract and avoid getting there. And what helps us making us sharper and more aware is being mindful, present and aware. And here's where the Maverick formula comes in and its 3 components. Go with your gut, be true and fall forward. We shall speak about the retraction and signposts in another episode. But for today, focusing on the fall forward component of the precipice moment. Once you cross a certain point, there should be no looking back, no regrets. They say life is too short for regrets, and I totally endorse it. So once you take the plunge, just move forward. It's all about faith and trust. Reminds me of, when we were little, there is absolute trust in parents. You would have seen or done it yourself. When we bounce our little ones or have them jump in the air, and they do so without hesitation, in full confidence that you would catch them when they come down. That's trust. It's the same when you come to a precipice moment in your life. A moment when you feel everything is a bit topsy turvy, when something earth shattering happens and you are at that split second moment of decision making. That's the time you need to just think of that invisible net, the same way that a child climbs from a height with confidence that no harm will come. That's the way to approach life's precipice moments, unafraid and confident. And fall forward. Go with the flow and trust in what's to come. And believe me, while you will remember the moment for life, you will come out stronger. Do keep writing your comments and sharing your feedback via our Instagram at The Ordinary Maverick or through our hashtag The Ordinary Maverick. I love hearing from you. This is Ajay signing off and wishing you have an amazing day, a super amazing year. Keep well, stay safe. Credits. This podcast series was put together as a team effort from the Bhardwaj family. Concept, design, title, researchers and reviewers Ajay, Sanjana, Avantika and Niharika Bhardwaj. Script, Sanjana. Cover design, Niharika. All rights reserved.